it actually is in violation of the Torah. The existence of a geopolitical Zionist state is in violation of God's laws. And that's why that certain religious sects, however, your standard run-of-the-mill modern Orthodox person, generally speaking, they're a Republican and they're a Zionist. That is how it is.
So it was the Rage Against the War Machine rally that took place in D.C. over the weekend. Friend of the show, Angela McArdle, who is the head of the Libertarian Party, has been working night and day to bring together, as we have, and this is why we like having her on the podcast. Her goal, even though she is a libertarian, is to bring as many working class coalitions together, including the Greens. Hats off to her for having the right idea. Now, we're friends with Russell and Keaton, even though we have differences of opinion about electoral politics.
Not so much anymore.
Not so much anymore.
We never really did. I never really did. I never really had a difference of opinion.
But they really had like a foot down, and they understood what you were trying to do at the same time. I respect where they're coming from. So Russell Dobular had the opportunity to make a speech over the weekend, and here's what he had to say.
Bob Dylan, late in his career and well past the peak of his powers, recorded the forgettable blues tune, "You Gotta Serve Somebody." The conceit was that no matter who you are, laborer or king, you have to bend the knee to something or someone. A lot of people seem to believe this. And as the election approaches, like a meteor set to strike the last of our illusions of American exceptionalism, with its choice between a half-bright narcissist and a deep state hologram, we can see formerly sturdy knees hit the dirt one by one, and formerly sensible mouths speaking the most ridiculous justifications for their service to one of these two exemplars of social collapse.
Like they would never play a clip of it.
That is a really great point. And please don't say that.
It's true.
No, it's not. And
Okay.
again, we're live. Can we please conduct the show a little professionally?
I'm very professional.
I think we need to acknowledge the fact that we have, as I said, in politics, we will do things that others won't do. And that's just the way it is. But this was a very important speech because Russell is correct. These are two paths, if you're staying on the corporate two-party duopoly, are going to lead you straight to hell. Either way, that's what's going to happen. But he gets into it later in the discussion that really hits on why this change is essential and why you must get out of the mindset that you can't get out of the two-party system or that there isn't another path forward. Because as much as I say that there, you know, if you're going to support the Democratic Party, if you're a progressive, it's going to lead to a graveyard. This is only going to happen if you support the other side as well, because Donald Trump's not saving your ass either.
Through South America, the U.S. genocide of its native population, the Australia where an Aborigine scalp could fetch you a few pounds, well then yes, a country full of white Europeans dropped in the middle of a non-white indigenous population whose land they steal and whose people they slaughter, all the while blaming their savages for their savagery when they attempt to fight back. Israel is a true bastion of Western values in the Middle East. And God help the indigenous people there if history is any guide. To all of this, the Israelis have an answer: the Bible. In this, they are of one mind with their Christian Zionist supporters. They only differ on canon. For Jews, there is only episode 1, the Phantom Hebrews, in which they take the land from the unwashed Philistine. If they contemplate the sequel, in which they function as Jesus bait, before those Jews who continue to reject the Prince of Peace are thrown into the lake of fire upon his return, they have the good taste not to mention it, as they indulge the apocalyptic fantasies of their Christian counterparts.
One thing I love about Russ is that you could tell he is a playwright. He is very good at it, and he knows how to put these words together. You know, they say Shakespeare was the greatest wordsmith. Well, I tell you, Russell is definitely somebody who has a way with words. He's very good at this.
In the words of the great Israeli historian Ilan Pappé, most Israelis are secular, but they all believe God promised them Palestine. So do you really have to serve somebody? Do you really have to get behind an establishment avatar or a trust fund plutocrat? There is something slavish in human nature that tells us it is so, but there is also something noble in us that tells us to resist. It was not the nobility that was most devoted to the king. It was the peasants that took the most pride in their connection to the big man in the castle on the hill, who saw their place in the world as being inextricably linked to their acceptance and celebration of their place in the feudal order. It's the same impulse that drives people to think that union-busting, Netanyahu knee-pad-wearing Elon Musk is their champion, that Trump is a friend to the working man, in spite of all the working men he stiffed over the years, that Kamala is anything more than a cutout for the anti-human agenda of her handlers, or the fact that the country is running just the same without a president as it ever has with one, doesn't prove once and for all that the job's become ceremonial, with the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned us of ruling through bloodless ghouls like Jake Sullivan.
That was a really, really great statement. And it's true. And the one thing that he really hits on is the fact that Trump is a complete narcissist in every sense of the word. And Kamala's a total robot. Doesn't have an independent thought in her head. And she is so, I have never seen a controlled presidential candidate like this.
No, she's extremely Manchurian.
Some say you have to decolonize your mind. That may be so. But what you also have to do is de-peasantize your mind. You don't have to bend the knee to any of these warmongering narcissists that wouldn't piss on you and yours if you were on fire. Whether you're talking about Nancy Pelosi, Dick Cheney, Kamala Harris, or yes, Donald Trump. We need to get off our knees. Because when the people come together and stop accepting the way things are, that's when they truly change. And that's exactly what they're afraid of. That's why they keep us bogged down fighting about drag queens and DEI hires while they laugh their asses off and count their cash. Whether it's from the house on the hill or from the podcast studio where the most money is to be made catering to cultural grievance while the rich get richer and you keep on getting poorer. The CIA and the FBI used to send agents out to infiltrate political groups and get them fighting. They don't have to do that anymore for the most part. The social media algorithms do the job for them, and there are plenty of folks with a microphone happy to help. If we want to stop these wars, we have to stop playing their game. We need to stop accepting their framing. We have to call an election between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump out as the disgrace that it is. We need to reject a system that tells us we have no better choices than these and that we don't deserve better choices than these. We do have a choice. It's a choice between endorsing this system or coming together to shut it down. To shut down a system that thinks so little of us that it expects us to take these disgusting freaks that pass themselves off as our leaders seriously. And don't let the new commentariat tell you otherwise. Those folks are getting fat off your desperation while they funnel you right back into the system. Whether it's the grifters telling you to vote Kamala for the free school lunch, or the grifters telling you that Donald Trump is your champion. When someone tells you either of those things, you should put your hand on your wallet because they're about to steal it. De-peasantize your mind.